hopping back into the planes of existence and vehicles of consciousness table that we went over in the last video, I thought I would share with you what some of my own personal kinds of takes on it are. And this is all coming from my own personal, lucid dreaming experiences. So first, when we have the physical plane. So for me, first thing that comes to mind for that is when I actually have the experience or the dream of me rising up out of my body in my bedroom. Everything seems as it should be, right? Looks like physical reality. But every time I've had one of those dreams, it's always felt, and this doesn't, I don't get that type of dream or experience very often, right? It doesn't happen all that much for me. But when it does, it's always felt very familiar and, felt like a lucid dream to me. Plus, as those dreams progressed on, it always did get more fantastical and kind of progress in just the regular type of, lucid dream. Lucid dream for me. The other thing that comes to mind is when you're in a type of lucid dream and, everything feels and seems really real, but you still know you're dreaming. So like, for example, it could be a classic one would be, you're about to go jump off your balcony and go fly away, but you're thinking like, oh, wait a second. Am I dreaming or not? Am I going to jump off this balcony and just plummet to my death? Like I better really be sure I'm dreaming right now, right? So you don't fuck up like that. So you would do something, like say do a reality check one more time right before leaping off just to be sure that you really are dreaming. So that comes to mind. Then you have the astral, right? The world of emotions and desires. Again, that seems like a bunch of different types of lucid dreaming experiences to me, so that could easily fall into the lucid dreaming realm in my eyes. Then we have the mental. So this to me, the mental, right, what he writes is the world of thoughts and ideas manifested as thought forms. So this sounds to me most like the classic, lucid dreaming type of explanation that you hear tossed out there a lot of times nowadays. And then a bit later in this chapter, and this part written here, this isn't from Frederick himself, this is from this guy, Arthur E. Powell, who I guess was a well-known theosophist back in the day. So this part here is going to be his writings, but he writes about the mental plane. Let's back up a little bit. Okay, before we hop into that, here he talks a bit about how the theosophist saw death, and so he has he writes this. The average person would take up residence in one of the subplanes of the astral, ranging from the lower astral, hell, to the intermediate purgatory, and finally to the higher astral, which I guess they called Summerland. Okay, so here, this guy Arthur is describing what hell could be like, right? So hell, where he lives, so the guy in hell lives amongst the crowding forms of his mutilated victims, moaning, quivering, howling. These are vivified not by the animal souls, but by elemental life, pulsing with hatred to the tormentor, rehearsing his worst experiments with automatic regularity, conscious of all their terror, and yet impelled to the self-torture by the habits set up during life. So, yikes, sounds pretty nuts, right? But sounds like a very classical explanation from like a bunch of different religions of what hell, could be like. And then we have the mental plane. So here I think he's kind of describing Summerland, but also describing the mental plane as well. So here the person in, this mental plane experiences bliss, indescribable vitality, enormously increased power, and the perfect confidence which flows from these. He finds himself in the midst of what seems to him a whole universe of ever-changing light, color, and sound. He will seem to be floating in a sea of living light, surrounded by every conceivable variety of loveliness in color and form, the whole changing with every wave of thought that he sends out from his mind, and being indeed, as he will discover only the expression of his thought in the matter of the plane and its elemental essence. Man, kind of hard to read for some reason right now. Concrete thoughts take the shapes of their objects, while abstract ideas usually represent themselves by all kinds of perfect and most beautiful geometric forms. Okay, enough of that. Getting hard to read for some reason, but that to me sounds like a pretty classical explanation of the standard, like lucid dreaming is awesome because you can do all this type of shit. Then getting back to the table, then we have the booty, right? The world of intuition, inspiration, creativity, and wisdom, right? Where you can definitely have lucid dreaming experiences where you can get, some real insightful shit going on. And so maybe that's kind of like that plane to these theosophists. Then you have the Atma, which I think I've been calling the Atman this whole time, but besides the point. Anyway, the world of spirituality, heaven, bliss, nirvana. So these types of dreams, I mean, I guess from here on out, right? The Atma, the Anupadaka, the world of the soul, the true self, the higher self, and then the Adi. the source, the divine God, the divine God and ultimate reality. So all of those, now those types of dreams definitely don't come very often for me, but they definitely do come around. If you get into this practice, you will have some really mind-blowing like experiences where it seems like you're interacting with some kind of god-like higher being entities and stuff like that. And now the way I see it, I just see that as your big subconscious mind serving you up some goodies, right? Where, I wouldn't necessarily jump to that's gotta be some god or something like that. But maybe it is, and I made a video on this like last week that I've been meaning to post, which I just haven't got to yet. Maybe I'll post it right after this, but it basically just goes into what my general kind of take and stance on this is, coming from the very, materialistic side of things. But even with that said, I am comfortable saying I don't know. My default is not to automatically go to it's some great godly being power I'm interacting with. My default is the more materialistic route, thinking everything's in my head. I'm just conversing with, some really fancy shit in my subconscious or something like that. But either way, like either option to me is equally as amazing. So I don't even really get hung up on, is it God or is it myself shit. But anyway, so that's that. Yeah, so after I post this video, I will post that other video I was just mentioning so you guys can kind of get some context. But anyway, that's it.